this geographic coordinate systems and map projection. So, which is a very important area if you are dealing with maps. Okay, wherever maps are concerned, so we always talk about GCS and map projections and other things. Okay, so let us see what is the agenda or the objectives of the presentation. We'll try to understand the concept of coordinate systems, what type of coordinate systems are there, understand the map projection, and what different types of projections are in use. Right. Now, before we start off, like maybe just an example, like maybe suppose just imagine that each one of you has been asked to prepare a drawing or a map of some area. Say Pune example, okay? Now one of you might be given the task of preparing a road map. Someone might be given a task of preparing the land use in the sense like what land is being used for what purpose, that is residential, commercial, agriculture, etc. Someone has been asked to prepare water bodies, okay? Now, you are all preparing the map of Pune, of a single place, right? Now, when you want to bring them all together, how will they sit together? Because each one of you will be making the drawing in your own way. You might start at some particular coordinates. One might start at 100, 100. Someone might start at 1000, 1000. Right? There is no uniformity. So how do you bring that all together? The best and the simple way is your graph paper which we see, right? A normal graph which we did in math in our school time, right? Where we define the coordinate or the origin, like 0, 0 would be at my intersection of x and y axis, right? So if each one of you was told that your drawing should start from 0, 0, that is origin, then the map, whoever does it, and the maximum extent should be say 1000, 1000. So once that boundary is defined for you all, it becomes very easy to overlap them, right? So this is what a coordinate system does. It provides you the framework or a coordinate system used to represent the locations of geographic features. That is what all road, your water bodies, your land use, etc. They are all geographic features. If you have satellite data, then even satellite data can be used. And any other observations like your GPS. Nowadays GPS we use a lot, right? Even in your phone we have the locations and all. So all that within a common framework. So that we do it with the help of a coordinate system. Okay. So what it enables us? It enables us to integrate data sets within maps. As you can see on the left hand side, if you have all of them belonging or rather having the same extent and starting at the same origin, you can have all of them together. Right? So it becomes very easy for you to integrate the data set as well as you can overlay the data layers from different sources. Because now, for example, you might be given the data from some other people also. So they may have done it in their own system. So unless and until you bring them to a common framework, you will not be able to do any sort of analysis. Right? So that is why a coordinate system plays a very important role. In any part, like obviously for our GIS or geographical information systems, it plays the most important role. But even in other parts, it plays a role because you might have seen your drawings and all in MicroStation or everything, right? Now there will be many layers in it or features in it or different levels, correct? Now if they are all in a separate area, will you be able to analyze them? No, it's not possible, right? So all of them have to have a common framework. So the coordinate system allows you to do that, right? Now, what type of coordinate systems do we have which are being used by people? Okay, so the one and the most common one and the most easier one is the latitude longitude part, which technically we call it as geographical coordinate systems or GCS. You would have seen that dialog in your applications toolbox also, right? So geographic coordinate system which uses latitude and longitude as its measuring unit. You measure latitude, longitude with the help of GCS. Okay. So whenever someone tells that the map is geographically projected, that means you should be able geographically, rather the map is in geographic coordinates. So that means latitude, longitude should strike in your mind. Okay. We also see nowadays like what are your coordinates? People ask us. So coordinates is the location. Okay, on Earth. Not anywhere on Earth. What is your location? Okay. So that is best explained with the help of latitude and longitude. Okay. And other coordinate system which we use is a projected coordinate system. So what do you do in that? In that, it is a map projection which provides a mechanism to reflect or project a 3D surface onto a 2D paper. Whenever you go for maps, do you use the globe? We don't. We use the flat paper, right? So how the flat paper, how the countries are projected onto the flat paper. So that is explained with the help of projected coordinate system. Now, what is GCS and what are it? What are the terms that we use in it? It is basically it uses a three-dimensional sphere, okay, to find out your location on Earth. I hope everyone stays on Earth, right? So it is a three-dimensional surface which it is used to define or refer locations on Earth. What it uses an angular unit of measure. I will explain to you all of that. Prime meridian, that is longitude, and a datum. Okay. Now what do we mean by latitude and longitude? Latitude are lines, parallel lines running from east to west. Okay, as you can see in the figure on the right hand side at the top, those are latitude, and we also call them as parallel. Why? Because they are parallel from the equator in the northern hemisphere as well as in the southern hemisphere, right? So they are also called as parallels. Okay, and they are always, most of the time they are measured in degrees, minutes, seconds. Okay, and longitudes are your vertical lines. The second figure on the right, vertical lines, they start from North Pole, go up to the South Pole. Okay, and we also call them as meridians or meridians basically. Technical term is meridians. Fine. So they start from the North Pole, end at the South Pole. So they are vertical lines, and latitudes are horizontal lines, or they are also called as parallel. Okay, 1 degree latitude, 2 degree, 10, 20, 30, like that, right? Okay, and together when you form a network of horizontal and vertical lines, you get something called as graticule. Okay, we get a graticular network. So we also say latitude longitude is a graticular network. Why? Because horizontal and vertical lines intersect and they give you a graticule form of a network, graticule type of a network. Okay, right. So how do you measure a latitude? Latitude is the distance from the equator on the y-axis, along the y-axis, right? Your y-axis are the, now here before we go ahead. Now, when you talk on Earth, consider a graph paper. Okay, x-axis is the horizontal line, y-axis is the vertical line. Now tell me what will be on the x-axis? The latitude will change or the longitude will change? Longitude. Vertical is no? So as you go away, it will change, right? So vertical longitude will change along your x-axis, and latitude will change along your y-axis. Clear? Y-axis में latitude change होते हैं ना, right? And vertical, that is x-axis में क्या है? Longitude lines है, correct? So those will change as you go away from the x-axis, right? So latitude is the distance from the equatorial line along the y-axis. As you can see in the figure over here. This is like, of course, we have taken here as 0 degree latitude. That is Greenwich, where the Greenwich Mean Time starts in London. From there, this is the 0 degree, okay, on the equator. So from there, what is the 55 degree? So from the equator, you can see from this equatorial line, the 55 degree. So that will give you your latitude. So latitude, when you are in northern hemisphere, we denote them as XYZ, so and so degrees north. And if you are in southern hemisphere, it will be so and so degrees south. Okay, north and south. Whereas your longitude will vary from east, west. Anything from London towards India, it will be all east. And anything towards the American side, it will be west. From the Greenwich Mean Time. That is why always, whenever you refer to time, from Greenwich it is always plus 5.5, plus 6.5, etc. For India it is plus 5.5 because we are on the positive side or we are ahead of them. And whereas the American side is behind the Greenwich Mean Time. So they are always referred to as minus something, minus the time. Okay. So Anyway, so latitude is the distance from the equator along the y-axis, and longitude is the distance from the prime meridian along the x-axis, right? So an example, as you can see over here, that 55 degree north is the latitude from the equator. What is the latitude? 55 degree north, and from here, what is the longitude? So it is like 60 degrees longitude, 60 degree longitudinal line. Okay. Right. Now, as I was telling you earlier, so how are they measured? Normally, latitude, longitude values are measured in degrees, minutes, seconds, or decimal degrees. So, for example, you might be given a place like 72 degrees, 20 minutes, 30 seconds, and you can also be given a value of 72 point something. So that means if the longitudinal or latitudinal value is 72 point something, that is decimal degree. Okay. And whenever you are given DEMS separately, that means it's the correct one. Now, how do you convert the decimal degrees into DMS? What you do, the first number, that is 72.30 suppose we have. So 72 you take as the degree. After the decimal, whatever number is there, you multiply by 60. You take the first two numbers again. So suppose it is 0.30. So 0.30 into 60, it will give you 1800. Correct? So 18 will be your minutes. And 00 is your second. So 00 multiplied by 60 is again 00 only. So 00 seconds. So actual DMS value is 72 degrees, 18 minutes, 0 seconds. Okay, that is how you convert DMS in DD into DMS. Fine. Okay. Now how do they vary as we go away from the equator or from north towards the north and south pole and east or west? So latitude values are measured relative to the equator, and they will range from -90 to the south pole to +90 to the north pole. What am I talking about? What will change from north pole to south pole? Latitude or longitude? And longitudinal values will vary from -180 to +180. Earth is a square, right? Sphere. So sphere has what is the degree? 360 degrees. So -180 +180. Correct? So that is the funda. Okay. So as you can see on the right hand side, like graph I have drawn. So like basically this is just to show how the values will change. Okay. Now, so that thing is clear, everyone, right? How latitude will change and how longitude will change, right? Okay. Now, even though like whenever you see a map, you will find that it's perfect. It looks to be a perfect one. Okay, but it is not the case. Okay, why? Because although they show the exact location, they are not uniform units of measure. The measurement is not always uniform. That is equal. Where it will be equal? Where it will be equal? Any idea? Anyone? Even on the phone, I mean, like, if question is open to everyone, okay? So anyone can answer.
At the equator.
Right. You must be knowing it. Anyway, no problem. So yes, at the equator, the distance represented by 1 degree latitude or 1 degree longitude is the same. Okay? At the equator. Right? The distance represented by 1 degree of longitude is approximately same as the distance represented by 1 degree of latitude. But as we go towards the poles, the distance will be haywire. It will increase. It will not be the actual distance. Okay? आपको लगेगा अरे 5 kilometers, but actually it might be even more than that as you go away from the equator. Both ways, north as well as south. As you go away from the equatorial belt, the distance will increase. How? There is an example here. Above and below the equator, the circles defining the parallels get gradually smaller. Obviously, until they become a point, north and south poles are the points, right? So, you are starting from the equator and you are going up, up, up. You are going to meet at the same north pole anywhere you start on the earth. From the equator, when you start and you go, as you go towards the north pole, you are always going to come at the same point. Same way in the southern hemisphere. आप कहाँ से भी चालू करो जाने के लिए साउथ पोल की तरफ, कहाँ से भी southern hemisphere में, you will always end up at the south pole, right? But that takes a lot of guts to reach, so don't try that. Anyway, so as you can see in the example, that the 1 degree of longitude, that is 1 degree of longitude, okay, along the x-axis that is equal to 111 kilometers at the equator. It is equal to 111 kilometers at the equator, whereas the same 1 degree of longitude as you go away, that is at 60 degree latitude, it will only be 55 kilometers. You can make out, na, the circle, see, as you go away from this map, say, as you go away from the equator, the distance between these two longitudes is getting smaller and smaller, right? So mathematically they have calculated it. So what happens is that is what they have come out with the formula. So 1 degree of longitude anywhere on the equator will give you 111 kilometers. Okay? And as you go away from the equator, the distance will become smaller and smaller. At 60 degrees it is 55, and at 80 degrees it is only 19 or 20 kilometers. At 80 degree longitude, here, almost near the North Pole. Okay, it becomes even small, and of course at the 90 degrees it will be dot. This is your point. Yeah. So this is how the variation happens. So these things have to be really clear if you have to work in any sort of a map. Okay. So this is what we mean by latitude and longitude. So this is GCS. Now comes the real fun. What is a projected coordinate system? Right. A projected coordinate system is anything any map which you would have taken in your school times, even on we see some street vendors also selling those maps, right? Those sort of maps. So those are basically defined on a flat two-dimensional surface, right? A flat surface, correct? Now, unlike GCS, what we saw earlier, latitude, longitude, as we saw the distance decreases as you go away from the equator. But here in two-dimensional, the distances, the angles, everything is maintained. Okay, it is constant. You will have constant length, constant angle, and also the areas across the continent. Okay, on a 2D surface, everything looks uniform. Correct? Right? Yes. So how are the locations identified? Now there we saw it was identified by degrees, minutes, and seconds. But here we identify them with X and Y coordinates. And you treat that as a normal paper, right? And you will have X and you will have Y. Where is the origin now? Origin will be at the center of the grid. No matter what grid you consider. For example, when you are in India, you consider a local grid for India. There your origin will be uniform, one. When you go to some other country, there it will have its own origin. If you go to America, it will have its own origin. Okay? So in projected coordinate system, you have the freedom to choose the origin. Whereas in degrees, in latitude, longitude is always measured from Greenwich Mean Time. Okay? That then coordinates at the origin are always most of the times they are x equal to 0 and y equal to 0. Fine? Yeah. Now some of the examples which you can see on the screen, like what do you do? You are representing a curved surface into a flat map. Okay? Or this is called as an uneven map. The second one at the bottom, you are representing an entire globe into uneven surfaces in order to maintain the areas or the countries to look as they are. Otherwise, if you open that, it will be like totally gone. If you just open a globe, sometimes you try to cut through and you open it, you will never get a perfect. Although you may see, "Arey, ye to perfect circle mein baith raha tha globe pe to," but when you try to cut it and when you open it, it will be totally mismatched. Total mismatch would be there. Okay, so that is what it might look like. The second one at the bottom. So when you cut it along a particular surface, like for example, I want to see South America, so I will only cut the area along the South America or the African continent or Australia part of it. So I will get such a map. Okay. And another example is the one on the right hand side. What has happened now? Anyone can guess what has happened there? No. What? I mean, how have we cut the map? Globe? Only one simple question is how have we cut it? Any idea? But which line? Longitude, exactly. Right. So along the longitude, we are starting from North Pole. We have cut it right up to the same longitude wala line, 0 degree line. We have cut it right up to the South Pole, and those are strips of it. So that's why you get such a map. Now you might wonder, "Arey, map mein to like on the Earth, so they are not like that." This is the difference. what happens when you are talking about projected coordinate system? You see such a big gap in between this to this, right? So you might wonder, where is this area gone? It has not gone basically, but when you start from a particular longitude, so longitude to 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree, they are all meeting, right? But when you cut them open and keep them on the table, this is what it will look like. Okay, so this is what projected coordinate system does. You are projecting a 3D surface onto a 2D flat surface. So this is what a projected coordinate system does. You are basically projecting a 3D surface into a 2D. Okay. Before going to projected coordinate system, how it created, we will try to understand a few terms. Like you might have seen them, those who are working on GCS, they might have heard terms like ellipsoid or spheroid, datum and geoid. Okay, now let us understand what are those. Now, how do you describe the shape of Earth? How do you describe it? Right, fair enough. Very good. Any other? In simple terms, like rather than using those technical terms, any simple term which we can use? A circle, a sphere. Right? Okay, it is the closest to Earth's surface, a sphere. But actually, on the Earth's surface, there are Himalayas are there, Himalayan mountains are there. There is this Mariana Trench which is so deep, right? So you have deep valleys, you have high mountains. So it is always undulating. It is not even. And as Kshitij, right? He pointed out it's a geoid surface actually. It is the, I'll explain that later. So it is basically not a perfect sphere or not a perfect circle. We use the term called spheroid for it. You imagine an orange actually. So Earth's surface also like that. Is orange a perfect circle or a sphere? No. The skin outside is bit fluffy, right? So that is how the shape of the Earth is also. Okay. So that is how it is not even. It is uneven. Right? As an example, as I told you, Himalayan mountains are like 8,000 meters. And Mariana Trench is almost 10 to 12 kilometers below the sea. Right? So imagine can you bring them to the same surface? Very difficult. What do you do for that? That's why you consider a term called as mean sea level. Always, whenever we talk about heights, we always start from mean sea level. Right? So, what is a spheroid? Basically, mathematically, now, will it be easy for you to calculate coordinates if you treat such a undulating surface? It is not easy, right? So, what we do is we try to equate it, or for mathematical calculations, we imagine it to be a spheroid. Now, how do we get a spheroid? You get it from a two-dimensional ellipse. You would have learnt about ellipse in your geometries, right? So, what does an ellipse have? Ellipse has a flat at the top and bulging at the equator, at the center, right? So, that is what even Earth is represented as. It is flat at the top, at the North Pole and the South Pole, it is flat, and it is bulging at the equator. So, that is what we equate the Earth shape to be for mathematical calculation, right? So a spheroid or the mathematical shape of the Earth. So what is it? It is a three-dimensional surface created from a two-dimensional ellipse. So what happens when you rotate the ellipse along its minor axis? And an ellipse has a semi-major and a semi-minor axis, right? The radii. And correct? It has a radii. So those are called as, the longer radii is called as the major axis, and the shorter one is called as the minor axis. Right? Now, semi-major axis is the radius from the center of the Earth to the equator, and semi-minor is the radius from the center of the Earth to the pole. Imagine the center of the Earth, right? And from there, when you go towards the equator, that is your major axis, and when you go towards the pole, you get a minor axis, right? And even it's clearly represented in the diagram on your screen. So, even you can have a look at it. So, this is the minor axis as you go towards the pole. This is the minor axis, the shorter one, and this is the longer radii, and we call it as semi-major axis, right? So, other terms for major and minor axis, you can also call them as polar axis. That is, the minor axis is also called as polar, and your major axis is also, semi-major axis is also called as equatorial axis. Why? Because you are measuring it along the equator. So, that's also called as the equatorial axis. Now, over the past so many thousands of centuries or thousands of years, people have been trying to measure the major and the minor axis. All the great geographers, the cartographers, etc. Okay, So these are some of the semi-major and the semi-minor axes. You can see in 1866 when the person called Clark, he had measured it, he found the major axis and the minor axis to be that value 6378206, 6356, 583 point something in meters, of course. Now in 1980, now that same value, as you can see, it has reduced by almost 100 meters. Why? Because with the advent of latest technologies, you have got nowadays you have got GPS, you have got satellites, so which give you exact or accurate measurements, right? So as you advance in future years, the semi-major and minor axis may be corrected. Okay. So what is a spheroid? Spheroid is basically nothing but in simple terms, it is the mathematical shape of the Earth. Okay. Now each spheroid will depend on what area you are working on. Now, if you are using a particular spheroid, in India we use spheroid called Everest spheroid, modified Everest. That will not necessarily work for America or Africa or some other country. Okay? So, spheroid has to be chosen based on the region you are working with. And how do you choose a spheroid? That will be decided by your datum. So, in order to so the question is, why the spheroid is required, okay?
Different spheroids.
Yes, different spheroids for different regions are required. That's because like a spheroid, particular spheroid, that will probably clear by the this diagram probably. So you have, for example, your Earth. I should have probably covered geoid in the beginning. Now, as you see, geoid is actually based on the gravitational pull of the Earth. Okay, so we consider that is almost near to mean sea level, geoidal surface. Okay, now as you can see here, the Earth is basically, you can imagine it to be an ellipsoid plus a geoid. Okay, now as you can see, this is a spherical or a spheroid. For the same area, you have a geoid. Now, when you overlap them, the particular geoid, or for example, if you are working in this area, suppose this is in American continent. Now, for this America, this particular spheroid is coinciding. So, for that continent, that spheroid is the best fit. Got it? So, that is why you have written here good fit, and here it is a very poor fit because the distance from the actual spheroid is too high. So, that will cause distortion, right? So, that is the reason we choose different spheroids for different areas. Based on your geoidal surface, you choose a spheroid because you need to have, so that is what is decided by the datum. कि datum कौन सा लेना है? Datum will decide what spheroid we use. Okay? So in simple terms, you have to understand that whichever part of the surface will be near to the spheroid that you choose, that is the best fit. Okay? Nowadays the standard this thing is there. We call it. We use normally WGS 84 only because that is the standard. It was established in 1984, but even revision keep happening to it. So that is the best fit. Okay, for anyone normally we use WGS 84. Okay, now I answered that question already before, but now let us understand what is the datum. Datum will decide what it is a model which will describe the shape of the spheroid. Okay, what is it? You can in simple terms you can use it as a reference mapping surface, and it is chosen to give the best possible fit to the true surface of the Earth. Okay, now datums are also different for different parts of the Earth for the same very reason which I showed you on the earlier screen. Okay, whichever area based on your spheroid or the datum, whichever is near to the geoidal surface, there the distortion would be less. So that is why you choose a particular spheroid or a datum. Okay, now there are two datums which we use normally and another important part is assigning the wrong datum to a coordinate system will lead to hundreds of meters of error or thousands also in some cases. Okay, what are the two types of datums? One is geocentric, where the origin is at the center of the Earth. That is what is called as geocentric, and the best example is WGS 1984, which we use today. And local datum, here the center of the Earth is not the origin. As we saw in the last example, whichever fits my area or whichever introduces less distortion for my area, I will use that particular datum. So that we use local datum. Okay, so each spheroid is aligned closely to fit the Earth's surface in a particular area. So what happens? The center of the datum is offset. You are offsetting the center. Okay, as you can see in the example over here. Okay, in the black line or the outer line is actual Earth surface. Okay, now you are trying to use the Earth center. Now WGS84 has its center here in the blue line which you are seeing, okay? But whereas you are using a local like NAD, this North American datum, it is this particular red part is actually coinciding with the Earth, okay, geoidal surface. So for America, we most of the times we use NAD 27 or NAD 83, that is NAD, North American datum. So whichever, as I told you before also, whichever is closer to your surface, the spheroid, whichever is near, you try to use that particular spheroid or the datum, okay. As you can see now, one example of a place in Washington using 3 different datums. You can see the difference in the latitude and the longitude. It may not be much, but as you go away from the 4th and the 5th digit, you will start observing the difference. Like for example, in 1927, when it was surveyed this particular datum, the longitude value of that particular place was 122.466 so much and 48.7444 so much. Whereas in 1983, it has come to 122.468. Latest technology we are using, right? Over there, GPS and satellites and all that. So that's why you can see the difference. And this difference is also around 100 or 100-200 meters ka ho sakta hai. Okay, so that is why it becomes very important to choose the right spheroid and the right data. Whereas in 84, you can see the variation is only in the latitude part. That to last 12th or the 10th digit. Here it was 49 and here it is 99. So, I mean, accuracy, whenever you are trying to draw accurate maps for military survey or for such maps, you need to be very accurate. Okay? Because you don't want to, you want to go to Pune and you shouldn't end up going to Anand or Pimpri Chinchwad, right? So, it is always better to use accurate maps. Okay? So, that is why datum and spheroid becomes very important. So, these are some of the reference ellipsoids and the datums which are used for each country, or so you can see any particular, it was done in 1830. So it was used mostly for Great Britain. Then you can see Australian national and other parts. Like for example, for India, we used to use earlier average 1830, 1956, 1969, etc. Okay, and nowadays we use modified average, or the standard one and the best one in use nowadays is your WGS84, which can be used worldwide because its center is at its origin is at the center of the Earth. Similarly, the datum, okay, it is WGS94. It can be used globally. The origin is at the center. And what ellipsoid we use? We use WGS, that is World Geodetic System 84. Okay. NAD 83 it is used even now for North America and Caribbean countries. Even here the center is at the Earth, and they use Geographical Reference System 1980. For North America, earlier there was this origin was at Kansas when this guy called Clark surveyed it, so that was used. And for European and Middle East and South Africa, we use European 1950 data. Okay. Of course, you don't have to. I'm always going to ask you what is what, but just a sort of an information. Okay. Right, and I explained to you earlier, this is what a geoid is. Okay, it is basically the closest to the Earth's surface, and it would be mostly your mean sea level, जो भी रहता है, so which is approximately same as your mean sea level. And as the mass of the Earth is not uniform, the gravity changes the shape of the geoid is also irregular. Now, map projections. Okay, I mean, it's fun, and at the same time, it is very serious if you go into the calculation part, mathematical part. But yeah, anyways, I mean, I've kept it as simple as possible. So we all know Earth is a spheroid, right? And the closest representation is your globe. What is the drawback? Can you carry the globe everywhere? Not possible, right? So for that we have flat surface maps. So maps are flat, easy to carry. They are good for measurement. If you want to find the measurement, you always can use the maps, right? And they are always scalable. So how do you represent something from a 3D onto a 2D? We use a term called as mathematical, or rather map projection. It is a method for mapping spatial patterns on a curved surface to a flat surface. Curved surface to a flat surface. How do we do that? So what do you do in that? You imagine a developable surface. You imagine a surface and you imagine a light at the center of the Earth. And then you स्कूल कॉलेज में आई थिंक एवरीवन मस्ट हैव डन जीटी मारा होगा सबने, है ना? सेम फंड है. ओके, प्रोजेक्टिंग जीटी में भी वही करते थे, नीचे से लाइट सोर्स रखते थे और दूसरे का शीट करके हम लोग करते थे, राइट? ड्राइंग में, है ना, इंजीनियरिंग में. तो सिमिलरली यू डू द सेम थिंग. You keep a source of light at the center of the earth and you project it onto say a wall or something. So you get a projection. As you can see in the figure on the right hand side, a light source is there at the center of the earth and then you are trying to project it onto a flat surface, onto a paper, right? And there is a very nice saying that says all maps lie flat, therefore all maps lie. Understand? Line? Okay, सारे maps flat है, lie. I'm opposing it. Hindi it will become very, it will probably change the meaning. But in English you can understand. All maps lie flat, so all maps lie. Now why do they lie? I'll show you. So we will first try to see what are the different developable surfaces. What all can you use for developing or rather projecting a 3D onto a 2D? So you use a cylinder. What you do is you consider your earth a ball and you pass a cylinder vertically and you have a light in the center, so you will get all the latitudes projecting onto the paper, as you can see in the second figure over here, right? And then you just cut open the paper at any one longitude. Of course latitudes project हो रहे हैं तो longitudes भी project होंगे ना, correct? Latitudes are projecting, so are the longitudes also projecting as straight lines. So in a cylindrical projection, you can see the longitudes are parallel to each other. So the distance between the longitudes will always be the same. Correct? Cylindrical projection. So when you open it, you cut it along some meridian or some longitude, open it, you get that now. Can anyone guess what is the drawback of cylindrical projection, but? No. That is fine. That is a given. But just by looking at the first figure, can you tell me what is wrong with it? Exactly. As you can see, after a certain latitude, the polar areas become too long. They are almost stretched. So whenever you are using this cylindrical, one example is Mercator. So if you try to use a Mercator Greenland, which is very small in size, even smaller than Africa, it will look almost same as Africa. So that is the drawback of Mercator project. Okay, as you can see clearly, na, as you go above 80 degrees latitude and above 84 degrees latitude in the north and 80 degrees latitude in the south, why I have taken this particular coordinate, it will be clear in the next slide, next few slides. So, and between the best measurement is along the equator. You can see they are almost perfect squares. Correct? So this is how cylindrical projection works. Second surface which we use normally is your conical cone. You consider your earth and you pass a cone over it touching the equator. You pass a cone in such a way that it touches the equator. So when you open the cone, what will happen? All the points which are touching the equator will be having same measurement. They will not have any distance. Fair enough, correct? It is touching the equator. So when you open it, when you cut it and when you open it, all the points along this will be of the same. They will preserve the distance and the area, etc. Okay. So this is how a conical projection works. In India, we use conical projection. We used to use. Why? Because the shape of India is itself conical, ना? ऊपर भी कोन है, नीचे भी कोन है, right? जाम्बू द्वीप बोलते हैं ना इंडिया को normally. तो the shape of the country itself is such, कोन जैसा. नीचे से कोन बिठाओ, ऊपर से कोन बिठाओ, है ना? Right? They will meet at the center. Correct? So, but for such a huge country, you will need so many cones. For better accuracy, you will have to place cones at almost one minute or even 5 minutes. So when you use modification of conical is polyconic projection. Many cones are used in it. So what happens? 1 degree, 2nd degree, 3rd degree. So जैसे जैसे open करके आओगे तो you get a perfect map. No distortion, nothing, right? So that is how it works. So conical, then planar, which is very rarely used. You just have a plane touching some part of the earth, either at the poles or at the equator or any oblique angle. anywhere it can touch the surface of the earth, okay, but it is very rarely used. As you can see, since it touches the polar region, it can be used for projecting poles in some cases. For navigation, people like who have to go to North Antarctica or Arctic island, they normally use this planar projection करके map. UPSC करके आता है, Universal Polar Stereographic Coordinate System they use, UPSC. Okay. Anyway, right now, different projections will cause different types of distortion. Correct, na? As you can see in the figure, you are trying to project this curved surface onto this much area. Curved surface, and you are trying to reflect it into. So when you push this, distortion will happen, hai na? Distortion will happen, right? So you have to choose what you want to preserve. So it could either distort your shape, your area, your angles, anything can be distorted. Okay? So that is why in the above picture, that is this one, you can see in the cylindrical, area near the poles is stretched. Okay, so you, as they say, you can't keep everyone happy, right? Same is the case with maps also. Not everyone can be satisfied, not every aspect. So what are those aspects? Shape, maps that preserve shape are called conformal shapes, or rather conformal maps. Area, meaning you equal area maps will preserve the actual amount of surface area. उसका actual surface area that it will preserve, but shape or something else will be distorted. Okay, so these four parameters we consider whenever we have to choose a projection. Then distance, that is equidistant maps preserve distances for all lines. Okay, and direction. So now, this is a given that no map will show all four things without distortion. Okay, and no map will preserve all the characteristics equally. Whenever you are choosing maps or something, it is always a compromise in each of the four aspects. Okay, only thing which can be taken for granted is wherever your projection surface touches the earth, that part you can be rest assured there will be no distortion in those areas. Okay, right. Now you can see an example of there is this North American country. It is centered at 39 degrees north and 96 degrees west. So you can see when you are using three different projection systems, how much is the variation of the distortion. Right? For example, in the green which you see, it is an unprojected latitude longitude. That is lat long, actual lat long में green में जो देख रहे हो आप. Then in blue, what you are seeing, it is done using a projection system called coordinate system called Lambert conformal conic. Whereas in red, what you see is a Mercator. So you just imagine, like for one map, even using three different projections, it gives you so much of distortion. Okay. So that is why none of the maps will give you accurate results, but there is always a compromise. You always compromise on certain aspects. Right. Now, how do you work with a projection system? It is the most simplest the most simple one is a tangent to the globe along a particular line of latitude. You say equator, you consider equator, and you are passing a cone which will touch the equator, some latitude. Okay, so that will be a tangent. It is called a tangent. Whereas you can always also have a secant. Secant means it will intersect the earth at two places. It will intersect the earth at two places. So wherever it touches those two lines, they are called as standard parallels, and there the distortion will be least. And in between also it will be very minimal in between those two lines. But as you go away from these lines, the distortion will increase. Okay. So this basically what happens is, so for example, here this line is touching, the cone is touching the equator here, the earth here. So when you cut it, you open it, and so this line will be without any projection, rather without any distortion. And then for the center, you draw the Greenwich Mean Line passing through its center. Okay. So meridians are projected onto the surface, meeting at the apex. Obviously, longitude and cone hai. So they will also start at the same, right, longitude. And then the line, the meridian opposite to the this central meridian, it becomes the central meridian. It is cut open, useful for countries with east-west expanse, like country like India. East-west is more, right? in some cases, at least near the Gujarat and those boundaries, right? Gujarat and Northeast. So there they expand in east-west. So that is why conical projection is good for such areas. Okay? And then I have explained about secant things, like wherein the earth cone will intersect the earth in two places. Okay? So the distortion on this line and distortion on this line will be the least. In between will be very minimal, and as you go away from this line, it will increase. Okay, this is conical projection. Some of the examples are equidistant conic, Lambert conic conformal, Albers equal area. Right. Now we have seen a cone. We have passed a cone over the earth. Now we will see what will happen if a cylinder is passed through, or rather if a cylinder is put over it. So in cylindrical projections also we have either a tangent line or a secant line. Secant line, it can intersect the earth at two places. Okay. So in secant obviously we will have two lines of intersection. So for normal, this is the most common example of a mosquito. So what happens at the equator, the cylinder will touch at the equator, right? So you cut it along a particular longitude. So when you open, you will get this map, as you saw in the first screen, the one at the top, right? So you get such a map, okay? And then you can also place the cylinder vertically, passing through the equator. Passing through the earth. So in that case, what line will touch, latitude or longitude? When you are normal way, it will touch at the equator. When you are moving it by 90 degrees, so what line will be in touch? Latitude or longitude? Longitude, na? This transverse, it will touch the longitude, na? Longitudinal line, right? You are putting it transverse, like 90 degrees rotated, right? So the longitude line will touch. So here what you do is you cut the cone along the equator, along the surface. So you just imagine when you open it, only the points along that line only will be having same without any distortion. Okay. And in some cases we also use oblique Mercator. That is, it will be placed at some angle. So here there is no standard parallel, there is no standard, you are just using the angle of that particular cylinder. Okay. So transverse Mercator, the best example is the most common one which is used nowadays, universal transverse Mercator. Okay. You see the example of it. So what is the universal transverse Mercator? Now in order to map the entire earth uniformly, what they did was they divide the entire globe into 60 zones, and they have difference of 6 degrees longitude. Why 6 degrees of longitude? Tell me. Why 60 zones of 6 degrees? Circle 360 degrees. So 60 zones, 60 multiplied by 6 is 360, right? You can't have the same for latitudes. Latitudes are like 180 only. So latitudes में हम लोग करते ही नहीं है क्योंकि we are using universal transverse Mercator, cylindrical projection. So there what happens, the first zone starts at your international date line, which is almost near to North America. Minus 180, say 6 degrees, minus 174 will be first zone, okay? Minus 180 to 174, then 174 to 168 second zone, and so on. So from there, so that way the numbers are given, the zone numbers 0 to 60. Okay? And the limits, because of cylindrical projection, the limits are, as you saw at the poles, it becomes too stretched, right? So it cannot be used beyond 84 degrees north. You cannot use it beyond 84 degrees north and 80 degrees south. Okay, this cannot be used, otherwise Antarctica will look like a huge ball. Huge thing, so you cannot use it beyond those. Okay? So they are always between 84 degrees north and 80 degrees south. Okay? And you take each strip zone wise. Now for example, in India, your India country falls in 43, 44, 45 and some part of 46. 4 zones cover India. Whereas you can see in US we have so many zones. This is Alaska, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, This is Canada. So then again you can see here, there are so many zones, right? So the advantage of using such a small grid is what? Anyone? Accuracy. More accurate maps you get, less distortion is there, right? Have so many zones nearby, so there is no question of distortion at all, right? They are so accurate, and also the center will be at the center of the zone. 6 degree का zone है, so center will be at 3 degree. तो कुछ भी distortion लेगा तो वो equal रहेगा. It will be equal in both the sides, right? And then we consider the equator as, and what we do here is, since we are using it individually for each zone, for each country based on its shape, we will never have the actual origin. At the center of the earth, we will never use it. We will always use something called as false origin. False origin. So a false origin for northern hemisphere is chosen as equator at 0 meters for all, and for southern hemisphere we take it to 10 million kilometers at the bottom. Why? You treat it as your coordinate paper, your first quadrant. All coordinates should be positive. If you are in your third quadrant, all coordinates will be negative, right? So dispersion will be too much. So that is why what we do, we are shifting the origin itself at the bottom of the hemisphere. Like we shift the origin somewhere over here for zone. Okay. Now here also one more thing. There are 0n and 0s, 1n, 1s, like that for northern hemisphere and for southern hemisphere. Okay. And we use a false listing of 500,000 meters. Okay, false x-axis. We always use 500 kilometers. So this is UTM, and this is planar projection. In planar projection, we normally use a flat surface which will actually either touch at the pole or at the equator or along any other line. Okay, but we rarely use it. Now, how do you choose the projection parameters? Maybe those of you who are working on projection of GCS systems, you might have come across terms like standard parallel, central meridian, scale, false listing, and false northing. Okay, so to define a coordinate system, it is not sufficient to name the kind of projection. Also, I will use this. No, it is not necessary. It is not sufficient. You have to specify various parameters also in order to reduce the distortion. So, what are those? It will depend on the kind of projection. Okay, central meridian for the projection is required for cylindrical, where it touches the ellipsoid. Then for conic, as we saw, if it touches at two lines, then we use standard parallel. Then we always need false listing and false northing unit and some reference ellipsoid. What you are measuring in US, we use feet, US feet, US survey feet, international feet. In India, we use meters. Okay, that's it. In Europe, I think they probably work with inches or something. So each country will have its own unit. So you have to care about the units also. Okay, and also the ellipsoid. Right. Now, since we are talking about coordinate system, one which is most commonly used in US, it's a different one. Based on they use the UTM, but they also use the states and coordinate system. As you can see, the shape of each state in US, it is so different, right? And in order for their military accuracy purposes, what they do, they divide the state even further into two or more zones, so depending on the shape. So now, for example, this is a perfect square, so they haven't divided. This Minnesota, this is Washington, so you can see over here, it is divided in Washington state actually, into North, Washington and South, then California 1, 2, 3, 4, California is a big state, so they are divided into 6 zones. Okay, in Hawaii also you can see, Alaska rather. So Alaska, depending on the shape, can you just tell me what sort of projection might be used here? Angle पे देखो, oblique cylindrical, right? So for Alaska, shape of Alaska, the oblique projection will help. So what are these? They are used for large scale accurate mapping. Remember, large scale means small area. Your 1:10,000 is a large scale, but 250,000 is a small scale. Why? Because you are depicting a huge area at such a scale. At such a scale, your say for example, Pune will look like a point at 250,000. But if the same map, if you are at 1:50,000, it will look like a proper polygon or a proper scale. Okay, so that is why that large scale, but we call it as small area. Large scale map is developed to minimize the distortion within states, and so the states are divided into 2 or more zones within the same UTM. Okay, and they use different projections based on the orientation of the shape. Okay, so they use Lambert conformal conic for east-west orientation. States which are wide in east-west direction, they use Lambert conformal conic. As we saw, conical projections are good for east-west. Transverse Mercator for north-south. Okay, and oblique Mercator for northwest or southeast orientation. Okay, they always have false norming so that all the coordinates are positive, and the units are mostly in feet, international feet for US. Okay. Now we also say that we have to project the data. Whenever you attach the data, you would have seen some things called reprojected or coincident world in your reference dialog. Coincident world or coincident or things like that in your microstation tool itself, right? So why is that required? Now consider two maps. Here the African continent and some lakes which are present in Africa. So now lakes are in UTM 36, whereas African continent are from UTM 34. This Lake Victoria is not in Central Africa, it is in Zimbabwe, which is on the east of Africa. Here it is. Okay, so they are not same. So what we do, we will say you project the data. You have to first get them to same coordinate system, that is UTM 34, and then they will sit on top of each other. So that is how this is. They are all projected to UTM 34. So as you can see, Lake Victoria is over here in Zimbabwe. Okay, so this is what is the coordinate system, map projections, why are they needed and all. So yeah, thank you for your time and your attention, and hope I have been able to clear some cobwebs from your minds. Yeah, okay, thank you so much.